Hello boys and girls, and welcome to the second part of our math lesson for today. So again, we are doing lesson 8.4, which is titled Measure with an Inch Ruler, and the essential question is how do you use an inch ruler to measure lengths? So we're going to be using an inch ruler to kind of measure different objects and their lengths. So remember, the first thing about using an inch ruler is that you always want to make sure that you line up the end of the string or whatever you're measuring with the 0 mark on the ruler. You don't want to use the very edge of the ruler because technically it really starts right here at the 0. It kind of just gives you like a little bit of space. In like before the ruler or before the 0 starts. So you always want to make sure that when you're using a ruler, you always want to make sure that your object is lined up with that 0. Okay? And so then what you do is you find the inch mark that is closest to the other end of the string. So this is how we start it. We take this end of the string and we put it on the 0, and then we go and see which inch mark is closer to the end of the string, which is right over here. And so it looks like our options are either 1 or 2, and it looks like the string is ending closer to the 2-inch mark than the 1. So we can say that the string is about 2 inches. So that's kind of what they wrote here. So those are just some steps on how to use the inch ruler to find what is the length of the string to the nearest inch. So in this case, the string is about 2 inches. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to measure the length to the nearest inch of a different number of strings. Okay, so we're going to use my inch ruler, and again I'm going to start by putting the starting edge of the string on the 0 and line it up with the 0. Okay, and now I'm going to see where the string stops on the ruler, and so it stops just before the 4-inch mark. So I can say that this string is about 4 inches. And remember, we're not getting the exact number, we're just kind of estimating. Sometimes it might end up happening where we do get the exact number. But for now, if we don't, we're just going to kind of estimate, and we're going to pick whichever one it's closest to. So in this case, the string is so close to that 4-inch mark, so we're just going to say that the string is about 4 inches. Okay? Now let's do the next one. So again, I'm going to line up the starting point of the string with the 0 on the ruler, and I'm going to look at my ruler, and I'm going to see where does the string stop when it is compared to my ruler. And so for this one, it seems like it stops just before that 2-inch mark. So we can say that this string is about 2 inches long. Now for this purple, I don't even know if it's a string, but for whatever this object is actually going to be longer than my inch ruler. And so my inch ruler is only 4 inches long, so that's okay. We can make it work. It's actually, I'm sorry, not 4 inches, it's 5 inches long. But we can do a little bit of something to kind of help us find out the exact number of inches that this purple object is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line from the edge of my ruler right where that it stops on that object. So right there I know 5 inches long. Okay, so now what I can do is I can then move my ruler and line up the 0 with the 5-inch mark, and then see, so it looks like this purple object ends almost in between the 1 and the 2. It's a little bit more towards the 1. So what I can do is I can add another inch to the 5 inches. So in this case, I know that this purple object is about 6 inches long. Because again, here was my 5-inch mark that I made a line with, and then I added almost another inch. So this is about 6 inches long. So hopefully if you do have a ruler, or on your homework they're going to give you a ruler that is longer than just 4 inches. But if you end up having that problem and your object is a lot longer than what your inch ruler is, then that's another way that you can kind of use the inch ruler twice to find the total length of the object. Okay? So let's go on to the next one. So it says measure the length to the nearest inch. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. So we're going to use our inch ruler, and I'm going to measure the length of each string. So this one looks like it stops just before the 4-inch mark on the ruler. So we can say that this string is about 4 inches long. Okay? Now let's measure this crayon. So we're going to put the edge of the end of the crayon right at the 0, and we're going to see where the crayon stops on the ruler. So it looks like it stops just before the 3-inch mark. So therefore we can say that this crayon is about 3 inches long. And then lastly, we're going to measure this string, and again I'm going to have to use my inch ruler twice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line right here showing the 5-inch mark, and then I'm going to move my ruler over, and I'm going to see so that inch mark, so that end of the string hasn't really reached the 1 inch yet. So I'm not going to add any more inches to it, and I'm just going to say that this string is about 5 inches long. Okay, so again, it's just another way of using the ruler twice, so that way you can really measure the whole object. All right, let's do a couple more examples. This one's giving us some actual objects to measure with. So I'm going to use, again, my inch ruler. I'm going to put the start of the pipe cleaner and match it up with the 0 on the ruler. And as I see, the pipe cleaner stops right before the 4-inch mark. So I can say that this pipe cleaner is about 4 inches long. Okay? And now I'm going to measure this paper clip. So again, I'm going to line up the starting point of the paper clip with the 0 on the ruler. And then it looks like this paper clip is really, really close to that 2-inch mark on the ruler. So I can say that the paper clip is about 2 inches long. And then our last object that we can measure is a digital thermometer. So I'm going to put the tip where you put your mouth in the digital thermometer. I'm going to put that lined up with the 0 on the ruler. And then I'm going to see where the end of it stops. So the end of the thermometer starts right here. And it looks like it's just before the 4-inch mark on the ruler. So I'm going to say that this object is about 4 inches long. Okay, so using a ruler is actually very, very easy. So the last question that it's asking us is, use an inch ruler. What is the length of the pencil to the nearest inch? So I have my inch ruler kind of lined up, right? Starting on 0, and I'm going to see where the pencil ends. And it looks like the very, very tip that you would use your pencil to write with stops just before the 3-inch mark on the ruler. So we can say that our answer is that this pencil is 3 inches long. Okay? So those are just some examples on how you can use an inch ruler to measure objects. And again, you won't have to do some of the things that I had to do, where I had to take my inch ruler and kind of move it over so that I can measure the whole object. On your math homework, it's going to give you a long enough inch ruler, so that way you can just look at the object and see where that object ends on the ruler, and then be able to identify how long it is. Okay, so now you can go on to Think Central and sign in, and you can complete the assignment for 8.4. And good luck using your inch ruler to measure certain objects. Bye.